Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for January 17th, 2026. And on today's episode, we are going to be recapping everything that went on during the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, talking about the Bills versus the Broncos, and we're going to be talking about the 49ers versus the Seahawks. But before we get into the episode, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. And I want to start it in Buffalo, to be 100% honest with you. And in particular, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks that I've ever seen in my life. Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I personally think a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. I think outside of Patrick Mahomes, especially after today, like there's no doubt about it. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. But that's how good he is. Like he is still in that top 3. For all of the good things that I can say about Josh Allen, the Bills had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl this year, or at the very least get to a Super Bowl, get out of the AFC, because what we saw from Seattle tonight, I don't know if the Bills would have been able to beat that team. They look like a very complete team. But for you to not even get out of the divisional round with no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow in the playoffs, that's a missed opportunity. Josh Allen was the best player in the playoffs going into the playoffs, and there's not a doubt that anybody had about that statement. And in this game, he was the reason why they lost this game. 4 turnovers. You can't have that, especially in a game that you only lose by 3 points. And I feel like a lot of times with the Buffalo Bills, they'll get in these situations where Josh Allen will have to play hero ball, but it's situations that he'll put them in. And I do think part of this is because of the fact that the team around him just isn't very good. And I think that that is a fair take. But at the same time, when is this guy going to get over the top? If he is one of these quarterbacks that people say, he's one of the quarterbacks that can carry a team to a Super Bowl. Well, if he's one of those guys, then he needs to be one of those guys. But until he does that, he needs to be lumped into the conversations with guys like Lamar, guys like Herbert, guys like Dak, guys like Joe Burrow, all of these guys, because there's only one quarterback in the NFL that I think can really carry a team to a Super Bowl. And even in his case, they had a really good defense, and that's Patrick Mahomes. So this game falls on Josh Allen. There's no doubt about it. He did not play well enough. He's the reason why they lost this game. But I do also want to get into some of the other problems with this Buffalo Bills team. This team was never going to win a Super Bowl this year. When you look at the Buffalo Bills, they were never going to win a Super Bowl this year. Their roster from 1 to 53 was not good enough, especially what you saw the Seattle Seahawks do to the San Francisco 49ers tonight. There was no way in the world the Bills were going to beat that team. They just did not have the firepower. They just did not have the 1 from 53 team. So this, to me, falls on the plate of Brandon Beane, the general manager. The teams that he has put around Josh Allen are not good enough. This team was not good enough, which is why they were 12-5 this year, while also having one of the best players in the sport, top 3 player in the sport, and you only won 12-5 this year. There are legitimate flaws on this roster. The receivers are awful. Khalil Shakir is a nice slot receiver, but if Khalil Shakir is your best receiver on your team, you have real problems. You have real issues. You're not good enough on the outside. And yes, I understand that he has attempted to fix the position through the draft when you look at him drafting Keon Coleman. But I also hate to tell you, like, Keon Coleman isn't a very good football player. So from that standpoint, like, yeah, I respect the fact that you tried to improve your wide receiver room through the draft, but at the same time, you missed on the evaluation. He's not a good football player, like relative to NFL terms, by the way. I always have to say that. You missed on the pick. They don't have receivers on the outside. The defense is not very good, at least, especially when you look at their run defense. Not very good. This is a flawed roster. This isn't a great roster that he has around him. So this offseason, Brandon Beane needs to focus on getting a legitimate receiver on the outside that Josh Allen can get the ball to in big situations, because they did not have that this year. And the fact that you went into the playoffs and Brandon Cooks was one of your leading receivers, I think, to me, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Brandon Cooks is like a wide receiver 4 on most teams. And he was the wide receiver 1 on this team. Unless you want to count Shakir as their number 1 wide receiver. But even still, at worst, he's the second best receiver on that team. And that's saying something. Brandon Cooks is not very good anymore. And he was the second best receiver on that football team. That's saying a lot. They have real problems on their roster. And until that gets fixed, they're never getting over the top. Doesn't matter how good Josh Allen plays. And when you look at the Buffalo Bills now, and you see where Josh Allen is in his career, he's starting to get up there. He's like closer to the back 9 than the front 9. He was drafted 8 years ago. The prime of his career is starting to come to an end. Now, will he have like an extended career, kind of like a Tom Brady, one of those type of guys, Aaron Rodgers, where they play deep into their 30s and they're playing at a really high level? Yeah, he might, but he also might not because of his playing style. He plays the game in a very physical manner. He takes a lot of hits. And as a matter of fact, not only does he take a lot of hits, he invites a lot of the hits that he takes. So when you look at the Bills, they have not built a good enough roster around Josh Allen. But at the same time, I don't want to relieve him of accountability, because he is the reason why they lost this game against the Denver Broncos. He did not play well enough. And that's the bottom line. But as an organization, I think there needs to be changes that need to be made. And I think it starts, to be 100% honest with you, I think the Bills have to move on from Sean McDermott. And the reason why is because how much longer are you going to give this guy a chance to get over the top when it is very clear that Josh Allen and Sean McDermott together can't get over the top? Maybe Sean McDermott can get over the top with another team. I don't think he can if he can't with a quarterback like Josh Allen. Maybe Josh Allen can get over the top, right? I think he can, because that's the type of quarterback that he is. I don't think that the Bills have a quarterback problem. I think anybody who implies that, I think, is out of their mind. But I think that what the Bills need to do going forward is they need to get a guy who can be an elite schemer for that football team. When I'm looking at coaches that I think would fit in Buffalo, I look at a guy like Mike McDaniel. Because here's the thing. I know people might hear that name and say, all right, he's not like the type of culture guy that, let's just say a Tomlin, or even if you want to say Sean McDermott, I'm cool with that, right? Like, he's not one of those guys. But at the same time, I would just say this. The Buffalo Bills, they know who their leaders are. They can be a player-led leadership structure. So from that standpoint, I think that they could bring in a guy like Mike McDaniel, who is going to give you a schematic advantage on a weekly basis. And I think that that would be a great fit, because I think that that's what's separating the Bills, right? Because while I like Joe Brady, I don't look at Joe Brady the same way I look at it like a Mike McDaniel or Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or, Ben Johnson, to where those guys from a schematic standpoint give you a legitimate advantage. I like Joe Brady. I don't think he's one of those guys. You bring in Mike McDaniel, things are going to be different with that football team. Like, offensively, like, if you're not going to bring in the type of receivers that Josh Allen needs for them to be like a top flight offense, even though they're already a top flight offense, but I'm just saying, to really get them over the top, if you're not going to bring in those receivers, then you need to get a guy that is going to give you a legitimate schematic advantage come game day. And that's Mike McDaniel. That's where I would look, right? Like, if they do decide to move on from Sean McDermott, that's the first place they have to look. Mike McDaniel, because that guy can really dial it up. He got the short end of the stick in Miami because he got a quarterback that just wasn't that good. You put him with Josh Allen, you'll really see what this guy can do, because that guy is a fantastic head coach, or at least he's a fantastic play caller. Let me get a sip of water there. All right, let's move on to the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, because that injury is very upsetting. So The Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills. By the way, outstanding performance by Denver. Like, I thought for sure when Josh Allen got that ball back in overtime that was game. Josh Allen was going to find a way to get the Bills into field goal position and they were going to win this football game. But the Broncos said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to win this game. And win this game, they did. And, I just want to first start off by saying kudos to Sean Payton. Sean Payton is one of the very best coaches in the NFL today. Anybody who is saying that Sean Payton is just Mike McCarthy with better PR, that was an asinine take. Even though I don't think Mike McCarthy is that bad, but I'm just saying like Sean Payton is just so clearly on a different level than him that it's not even funny. Right? So anybody saying that, I just got to say, you're crazy for saying that. But Sean Payton was fantastic. He dialed up a great game plan for the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, I thought he executed when he needed to execute. I thought he actually executed throughout the course of the game very well, and it's unfortunate what happened to him. And I think that the Denver Broncos defense stepped up when they needed to step up. I mean, forcing 4 turnovers, that was huge. And the score was 33-30. Josh Allen played Superman towards the end of the game, but the Broncos forced him into some really bad spots with the football, right? Forcing 4 turnovers against a guy like Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen is turnover prone, like that is a fair criticism of him. Still impressive to say the least. So that's kind of where I want to talk about this game because I spent a little bit too much time talking about this during the Bills segment here, but it's so upsetting to me that Bo Nix won't be playing in the rest of the playoffs because I really thought Bo Nix was starting to turn a corner here, right? I thought Bo Nix was starting to play some good football. I thought he played really good football in today's game against the Buffalo Bills. But now you have Jarrett Stidham as your quarterback. I will say this. I'm just going to come out and say this. I'm not counting out the Denver Broncos to win a Super Bowl, right? They have to win 2 games from here on out. And this isn't a slight against Bo Nix by any means. This is more so saying, look around at the rest of the league. Now, if they play Seattle in the Super Bowl or LA, I don't think they win that game. But I'm not going to sit there and count them out. Denver has the type of defense where they can legitimately shut down an offense. And if that's the case and your quarterback only needs to get you 14 to 21 points, can Jarrett Stidham do that with Sean Payton? He could, right? I'm not betting on it, by the way. I think that out of the remaining teams in the playoffs, if we're ranking the teams left, I think that the team that stands the least shot to win the Super Bowl is the Broncos. But they're in the AFC Championship game. I would say this because 4 of the teams that are still in the playoffs have to win 3 more games compared to 2 more games. So from that standpoint, I would probably put Denver, when it comes to likelihood, probably somewhere in the middle of those 6, just because they only have to win 2 more games. But not having your starting quarterback going forward, that is a massive hit for that football team. And people can say what they want about Bo Nix. That's fine. It is what it is. But that Sean Payton offense, the reason why the Denver Broncos were so good this year is because while, yes, Bo Nix has his limitations, he can execute that Sean Payton offense because he's so good between the ears, right? He processes information very well. He does a very good job executing the offense. So when you look at a Sean Payton playbook, Sean Payton's playbooks have about 500 plays in it. That's how, I'm not saying actually, but I'm just saying, he has a ton of plays in his playbook. He's a very creative offensive play caller. So for them to not have Bo Nix and to understand how complicated that offense is that the Denver Broncos run, I think, man, look, it's going to be a real struggle for me to really take them as serious as I would take the other teams in the playoffs. But again, because their defense is so good, they still stand a chance, right? Even with a backup quarterback, I still think they stand a chance throughout the course of the playoffs because It's not just the defense, it's the fact that Sean Payton is on the sideline. And if there's any coach in the NFL that I trust to really dial it up for a backup outside of Kyle, I'll even say this. The two guys that are hand in hand for me, 1A and 1A, because I don't think that there's a 1B out of these guys, is Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan. These guys are the two most creative play callers in football. Even I think that both those guys are even more creative than Sean McVay and Ben Johnson. Like Sean Payton has been doing this for a long time. So they're going to bring this backup in. Is it going to be perfect? Absolutely not. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look the same. But can I see the Denver Broncos being able to devise a game plan where the defense holds up? And especially against like the two teams that they're going to play in the AFC Championship game. It's either going to be the Texans or it's going to be the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots are very good. They have a very good quarterback, but he's still a young quarterback. And the Texans have a quarterback that I don't think is very good. So, like, if I'm the Broncos, I would love to play. I would love to play the Patriots, to be honest with you, because if your defense can like neutralize their offense. Look, the Patriots defense is good. I don't think it's the Houston Texans defense. The Houston Texans defense is one of the very best in the game, right? It's the best football. It's the best defensive football. I don't look at New England like that. Like I look at New England as they're a really good defense. I would prefer to play other defenses than New England, but there is no defense I would not want to play than the Houston Texans. So that's where you can run into a problem if you are the Denver Broncos, because there is a very real chance that like, if you play the Houston Texans, they might hold you to about like 3 points. That's how good their defense is. And especially with the fact that it is a backup quarterback. And I don't think that like the Denver Broncos offense is like all that talented. They have some talent, but like I don't think it's like earth-shattering talent. So that could definitely be a problem for them. But I want to move on here. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to check out the rest of the shows on the Kretschman Media Network. I would appreciate that as well. And I want to get into my last topic of the show. And that is, I'm going to spend a little time on the San Francisco 49ers, but like last full segment, the Seattle Seahawks. I said it at the beginning of the season, probably around week 4, week 5, like around that area, when I saw that the Seattle Seahawks were starting to put some games together. I said, this team is a sleeper in the NFC. Not just going forward, like the years following this one. I'm talking about this year in particular. They are a sleeper. And they're in a position where they could absolutely get to a Super Bowl. And when you watch what they did to the San Francisco 49ers tonight, and you compare it to what, let's just say, the Philadelphia Eagles did to the 49ers last week, it's night and day. It really shows the difference that they are just a different breed of teams. Defensively, they have a lot of talent, right? Like they have so many guys in that defense. Devon Witherspoon, Nick Amon-Warrior, Byron Murphy, DeMarcus Lawrence, so many guys that they have on that defense that play at such a high level for them. They have a head coach that gives them a schematic advantage on the sideline. I'm always big on that, right? Like, do you have a coach who's going to give you a schematic advantage? And if you do, when you get into these games, well, that they're about to get into with whoever, let's just say the Rams or whether it be the Bears, those are two offensive-minded head coaches. You have a defensive-minded head coach for Seattle. He's going to be able to dial some things up. Whoever they play, I don't think they're necessarily looking forward to playing the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing at a very high level defensively and offensively. Like, I know Sam Darnold was hurt going into this game, supposedly. He didn't look hurt going into this one. I thought Sam Darnold was very good. They ran the ball effectively. And obviously JSN, Cooper Kupp, like those guys had fantastic nights. Just so many good things for the Seattle Seahawks, which is what I was saying at the beginning of the year. Like, they have a culture for that football team. And it could absolutely lead them to a Super Bowl this year. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired. So if you see me like rubbing my eyes, I apologize for that. But they absolutely have a team that can lead them to a Super Bowl. that can get them to a situation to where they're really having like a stronghold over the NFC going forward. Because when you look at what the Seattle Seahawks future looks like, when you talk about the fact that they have a young offensive line that's improving, they have a quarterback like Sam Darnold that's on a really good contract. They have a receiver like JSN. They have a young defense with guys like Nick Amon-Warrior, Byron Murphy, Devon Witherspoon, right? Like they have so many good players on that football team that going forward, it's a very well-run organization. The Seattle Seahawks are a very well-run organization. Is Sam Darnold the best quarterback in the world? No, but the contract that they got Sam Darnold on is one of the biggest bargains in sports right now, because that is a quarterback that is capable of playing at a very, very high level, that is capable of playing at a level that supersedes the contract and the money that he's making. And he can be he's a legit franchise quarterback. And when you look at the NFL and when you look at the way that they evaluate the quarterback position, if they end up with a Sam Darnold and they can build a great team around him, I think a lot of teams would prefer to do that rather than be in a situation like the Bills where you have arguably the best quarterback in the league and you can't put a team around him, right? Like, and it's not because he's getting paid a lot of money. Like I see that, like, if you're getting paid this much money, you're going to have to just, work around some things. I get that. But at the same time, like I just look at the Seattle Seahawks and bringing in Sam Darnold and giving Mike Macdonald a legit quarterback that's like in the prime of his career, that you can really build a culture and build a team and build a suitable Super Bowl contender around. That's big. Because now they don't have to worry about the quarterback position for a few years, right? Like, and especially if they win the Super Bowl, now you're in a situation where Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Even if he does have some of his games that make you scratch your head, it wouldn't matter at that point because he has proven to that front office, to the organization, to the fan base that he can do what every fan base, every organization, every front office, what he wants or what they want him to do, which is win a Super Bowl. So, like, can it happen this year for the Seattle Seahawks? Tell me what teams like you feel is like definitively beating them. They're going to get either LA or Chicago in their building next week. I mean, like that home field, I think it's Lumen Field, I think it's called. That is a legitimate weapon playing in that field, right? Playing on that field is like a legit weapon because of the 12th man. They roll deep in Seattle. So when you look at the fact that they have a guy, Mike Macdonald, gives them a schematic advantage. They have a quarterback who can operate the Clint Kubiak offense. They have weapons offensively. They run the ball well. They play defense very well. Like, I don't know. I'm going to pick them over the Bears or the Los Angeles Rams. I think they're a better team than both of those teams. I'm going to pick them over both of those teams. And when you get to the Super Bowl, I'm just going to say this right now. I think we're getting a Seahawks-Texans Super Bowl. And in that situation, I mean, I think the Texans have a better defense, but I think Seattle has a way better offense. I'd say they're my Super Bowl pick right now. Even over LA. I don't trust LA. I really don't with what I've seen recently from them. Them barely beating the Panthers last week. A Panthers team that had no business being in the playoffs. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, I look at the Chicago Bears. I think that the Chicago Bears, they might stand a better chance with just where they're at as a team right now. They might stand a better chance to beat the Seattle Seahawks than the Los Angeles Rams. But I don't think either of those teams are going to do it. And then when you get in the Super Bowl, you're either going to be playing the Broncos with the backup quarterback, the Texans with a mediocre quarterback, or the Patriots with, I think, a much inferior roster to Seattle. So I don't know why they can't win a Super Bowl this year. They absolutely can, especially in the league this year. I've talked about this all year. The league this year is weak. This is a weak NFL this year. There is no great team. There is no team that really separates themselves. But I will say this, with what I saw from Seattle tonight and the way I saw them play against the San Francisco 49ers, please tell me why why you can't say that they've separated themselves from the rest of the pack, because I think that they did. And again, if I had my Super Bowl pick right now, I think Seattle wins it. But I want to move on to the San Francisco 49ers. I just want to spend a few minutes here. My take on the San Francisco 49ers for this season, hell of a season. Hell of a season. Punched above your weight class the entire season. And when you look at the team with all the injuries that they dealt with, they punched above their weight class. What they did was flat out impressive this year. And what this proves to me is that Kyle Shanahan is, no doubt about it, one of the very best coaches in the NFL. I personally think Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFL. If you ask me, hey, you have to build a team around one coach, who would it be? I'm taking Kyle Shanahan, because I know he's going to give me a balanced offense. I know he's going to get the most out of the quarterback. And I know that he's going to look for continuity with his defensive play callers. They run a certain type of offense or defense in San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan does not move off that defense. So whatever hires he makes to his defensive coaching staff, it's going to be the same thing for them. They're going to play that 4-3 front. So I just want to say, I just admire what the San Francisco 49ers did this year. Again, dealt with injuries. And even with the injuries, I don't think that they were that talented of a football team, but they absolutely punched above their weight. And I'm proud of the San Francisco 49ers. Good season, great season, great season. They had no right being here. No right being in the divisional round, right? Philly from top to bottom was the way more talented team. San Francisco found a way to get it done in Philly. And if you're a 49ers fan, I know that this loss might sting a little bit, but I think you should feel really good about your team knowing that you guys punched above your weight class. And to go into Philly, at the very least, to go into Philly and end their season, that's got to feel great if you're a 49ers fan. That's going to be it for the episode, though, guys. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next episode.